Hi, everybody. My name's Cynthia Kurtz, and I'm going to show you Rakontu. Rakontu is a free and open source web application whose goal is to help small groups of people tell each other stories, keep their stories, take good care of them, and use them for things that they want to do together. Now, I've been working in the area of organizational and community narrative for about 10 years, and I've become increasingly convinced that some sort of tool is needed to help people do this, and that this is the result of that intuition. And I'm hoping that lots of people will get something good out of it. So here's an introduction to it. Here's the main page of a Rakontu installation. And I'm logged into my Google account. Since this runs on the Google App Engine, it uses that for passwords and things. These are invitation-only private spaces for storytelling. So these are two test sites that I've set up. One is using the name of the Mistake Bank, which is a site run by John Cadell, where people tell each other stories about their mistakes, mainly related to business, and learn from each other. So I'm going to click on that, and you now see the home page of the Mistake Bank Rakontu. What you're looking at here is a timeline. Things on the right are the most recent. Let me just turn off the details here, hide details, and you can see it more at a glance. These are all the things with stars are stories that people have told about mistakes. The biggest ones are the ones that have had the most activity around them. People have been commenting on them, reading them, that sort of thing. Stories near the top have been nudged up. And that is a rating system that is unique for every group or Rakontu that depends on the goals of the group. So for the Mistake Bank, he has set up rating categories of whether the story is noteworthy, whether it's helpful, whether it's a cautionary tale, and whether it has to do with wisdom. And of course you can change your view at any time. So I'm not so interested in cautionary tales, but I want to see noteworthy things that have to do with wisdom. And so I'm changing my view, and different things come to the top. Evidently this one has a lot to do with wisdom. Right now, actually, there's a filter on this, which is showing only things that are told in the first person. This is a filter that I created here. I'm going to stop applying that filter, and now a bunch of other things will show, including things that are not stories. This is an invitation to people to tell stories. This is a collage or annotated list of stories. This is a resource which helps people think of stories. And this is a pattern, which is an observation about the stories that have been told. Now, let me put the details back on again and show you a little bit more about who is telling the stories. Now, some of these stories are told by the online members of the group. Here's one by John. Here's one by me. This person, because they have a little telephone next to the name, is an offline member of the group. Now, when it comes to storytelling, one of the goals of Rakontu is to bring together people who are online with people who don't use computers or the internet. And that's because in communities or groups, very often some of the people just don't use the internet, old people and people in nursing homes and stuff. So the way this works is that people who are online become a liaison. They have offline members who are assigned to them, and they collect stories from those people, and they get comments on other stories, and basically they represent the person in the group who participates through their help. So that is the offline members. Another group of storytellers is characters. These are fictional personifications which people can take on to tell stories that might be embarrassing, and they don't want to say that they were the one who did it. So, for instance, this little bird, somebody told a story called "Which Do You Like?" You know, it says "very stupid mistake." taking on the persona of this little bird because they didn't want to admit it. And so this is a very helpful thing when you're asking people to talk about sensitive topics. By the way, if you look at any character or member, you can see a timeline of the things that they contributed to the Rakontu. And you can do selections, you can change nudge categories, you can do search filters on these as well. Now, if we look at a story, let's just pick one at random here. Here's the text of the story. Here's a link showing that this story was told in response to a particular invitation. These are some things that you can do related to the story. You can comment on it. You can relate it to other stories. You can make a request about it. You can tag it. You can say, that reminds me of another story. Tell it, and the link will show up. You can say, that's not what happened, and put in another version. And then those stories will maintain a link to each other. Another thing you can do, since I wrote this story, I can change it forever. Since I wrote this story, I can actually say I would like to allow someone else to help write it with me. So say I pick this person, Joe, I can say that he's allowed to edit it with me. So people can collaborate on things. Now, another thing I want to show you is you already saw the liaison, and that's called a helping role. There are two other helping roles. The metaphor that I'm using here is that the group of people is building a sort of story museum of their collected experiences. The curators of the story museum pay attention to the contents of the museum. They make sure that everything's well connected. They make sure that everything can be found when it's needed. So, for example, they look at gaps in the collection, stories with no tags. They might go through this list and make sure that each one of these is tagged so that it can be found again. They can purge things that shouldn't be there. Here's a bit of spam that they're going to want to remove. So they maintain the quality of the story collection. The other helping rule is called a guide, and I'm not one right now, so I'll just click that. That's how you take on a helping role. You just click the button saying, I am a guide and you are a guide. It's very easy to do and very easy to drop if you're busy. So what guides do is they pay attention to the people in the Rakontu. They look at things like, are there any invitations that nobody answered yet? Should I help people answer that? Should I talk about it? Are there any requests that haven't been dealt with? They look at resources. They can change the help system of their Rakontu so that people can find the information they need. They can also put in things that will trigger memories and get people to tell stories. So here is a little bit from Wikipedia about mistakes. People will look at this and say, that reminds me of something. They'll go over here and tell a story, and it will be linked to that resource. So the guides have responsibility for maintaining engagement in the Rakontu. They can also answer questions. This person, Joe, has said he will answer questions, so I can click on his picture and ask him a question. So those are the three helping roles. And the reason it's so easy to put these on and take them off is that it gives people a level of commitment that, you see that those two menus went away, that they can do things to help, but they don't have to take on the responsibility of being a manager. And that gives people more opportunities to help the group succeed and have a finer grained contribution than either being in charge or standing on the side. So those are the helping roles. And the last thing I want to show you is a few of the management options that allow you to make your Rakontu work well for your group. You can obviously look at the members. You can change what they can do. You can also make the helping roles off limits for people who are abusing them. You can change different settings about the way the Rakontu works. Like what can people use characters for? This is where you set the nudge categories. So whatever works for your group, whatever the goals of your group are, you put them in here and you can use that. And you can change some other things related to how the nudge points are accumulated. When you tell a story, you answer questions about the story. So say I'm putting in my new story here. I say, who told the story? Was it myself or a character? Did I collect it from someone else? But I also answer some questions about the story. How do you feel about it? How intense is it? Why was it told? Who did it happen to? These stories can be changed to suit whatever group you have. What are the goals of your group? Are you helping each other with a disease or a problem? Are you all interested in some topic? So the manager of the group can look at all the questions that are being asked, the responses that are being collected, and they can change things about them. So for example, I'm looking at this one about emotional intensity, and a lot of people picked the intermediate levels, but nobody picked an overwhelming amount of emotional intensity or none at all. So I might say, well, maybe those aren't worded well, maybe I'll improve on that. So that's how you change the questions. You can also change the characters to whatever suits your group. You can export data. You can say that the site is unavailable while you're messing with the settings. And then, of course, you can change the appearance of the site, all the different texts and pictures and things. You can change what color scheme it uses, called a skin. And, of course, you can use an external style sheet to customize it, time zones, that sort of thing. And now it's all in different colors. So, and then we're back to the main thing again. So, I think I've given you a fairly quick overview of what Rakontu is like and what using it is like. And if you have any questions about it, take a look at Rakontu.org or join one of the discussion groups about it, which are listed on Rakontu.org, and ask your questions there. So, that's Rakontu. I hope that you've learned something useful about it, and I look forward to bringing it to you in the future. Thank you. Goodbye.